Malaysia, as you know, we are also a petroleum producing country. So plastics actually can be made from petroleum. So this is one of the reasons actually Malaysia is one of the main producers of plastics. Basically, because once you produce products, especially plastics, at the end of the day, there are some parts of the plastic that will be disposed, yeah? Especially if talking about single-use plastics, or you're talking about plastics where you, over a period of time, it will degrade. There are some sort of plastics where, you know, for example, not just plastic bags, there are some parts of plastic where, you know, if you keep it too long over a period of time, then it will start to degrade. Maybe it takes like years, yeah, but it will degrade. So once it degrades, actually it becomes a waste. Yeah, it becomes waste. Then that's the reason why it's detrimental to not just Malaysia, I mean the whole world, especially in aquatic life, marine life will be very much affected. So this project, what we name is as Development and Testing of Innovative Biodegradable Plastics. We proposed this in the year 2020 for RP1, for RMK12, Rolling Plan 1, which actually to be executed or commenced in 2021. Okay, so when we proposed this, the reasons they proposed this, of course, because this is the new data I took after I presented. There's actually new data coming in 2019, where it published in 2021, where Malaysia is actually at number 3. If you look at that, number 3 in terms of mismanaged plastic waste, in terms of emission. If you're talking about the volume was, you know, we're at number 16 in terms of producing plastic waste. Yeah, the number 1 is India, number 2 is China, and so forth. And we're at number 16. That is justified because the more the population, of course, the more plastics waste you can expect from that. So, but in terms of emission, this is a calculation made by them. There's actually a factors of calculation where Malaysia, by calculation that factors incurred, we are actually at number 3 in terms of the factor E. They call it emission. So this is actually the paper. I can show it to you if you want. But it's just, if I simplified it, so Malaysia is number 3, and this is actually not a good sign for us, being ranked number 3 in terms of emission. So for us that we have to do much more serious actions. Yeah. So one of the proposals that came from us is to make a solution, because there are so many solutions you can suggest. You can, you know, sort of like, you can ban single-use plastic. You can, you know, charge plastics that's been sold every week, you know, every day, not just 20 cents. You can up to, you know, like 50 cents. So a lot of things that you can do with that. But that's actually a short-term and long-term. But we don't know the effectiveness, because it might be effective in certain countries and certain, you know, environment, but may not be suitable to us. So we have to participate. So what we can do is to suggest, so this kind of plastics, if you can convert to biodegradable, so it will be one solution. Because biodegradable plastics means you make it biodegrade, so it doesn't, there's nothing left after that. So means that it's come back to the soil, you know, at the end of the day. So it will degrade, come back to the soil circularly. Now you can do many things from that, you know, circular economy. We'll talk about many things. I will talk about this later. So just talk about the plastics. So the issue right now in this world is that most of the plastic that produced is petroleum based. Okay, and the life cycle of plastic for the petroleum based, for plastic bags, it takes 20 years to degrade. That's actually estimation by scientists. Coffee cup, 30 years, plastic straw, 200 years, and so forth, you know, including the, you know, toothbrush, up to like 500 years. Can we wait these 500 years in order to, you know, to ensure that our environment is safe? Not just safe from this, but for the human as well, you know. So we need to find solutions. So as I mentioned to you, most of the plastic pollutants are single-use plastics as well. Every day we go to, you know, to the supermarket or, you know, pasar malam whatsoever, you can notice that single-use plastic has been used vastly, and you can't stop that, because this is actually already became our culture. We are one of the major plastic producers in the world, and you can't deny that. And this is easily obtained in this country. So, and it's already like, it's synonymous to our people, especially in Pasar Malam or Makcik, all those things, like, we like to use that because it's simpler. Buy nasi lemak and then you can get all that, right? But they don't know at the end of the day. So what will happen, every Pasar Malam, if you notice, people just, have to finish. Then you see how much rubbish actually produced from there. If you go to the pool of, like for example, people do like going fishing, so they just sit among them like 3 to 4 people, and after 1 hour done, they see sold the leftovers, actually a lot made from plastic, especially the single use. So of course we talk about the mentality of people as well, but it's not our aim. I mean, in terms of awareness, there will be another agency taking care of that, like Jabatan Alam Sekitar or whatsoever. But our agency is to how we can help the company get involved in producing more of a much more like environmental friendly product. So this is our aim. Right. So another issue is that for plastics, if that plastic takes so long to degrade, so one of it will become like microplastics. It will degrade, but it will become a smaller part, but it's not fully degraded until it becomes zero, but it becomes like microplastics. Microplastics is something that we have to be wary of, because in a recent study published in 1st April 2022 by Medical News Today, mentioning about they found microplastics in human blood. So how do they do the study? That's up, they will leave it to them, but they suspect that because the study is still going on, it will cause DNA damage. And another thing is it will cause oxidative stress to our cells. I mean, you become like older and cause more problem to your body. If you are not taking antioxidants, then you might face more problems. So this is some part of that, but still under study. So, but we have to take this into consideration, because since that microplastics already found in the blood. So this is one of the reasons that we found that this project is important, because we want to solve not just environmental issues, but also those effects to the human body. Okay, so why biodegradable plastics? So based on so many journals, so many studies so far in the laboratory settings, so it's confirmed that switching to biodegradable plastic can actually help mitigate some environmental issues caused by petroleum-based plastics. Okay, so another thing, because you can see over here, if I can just show it to you using the pointer. Okay. Also, if you look at this is plastics. This is one of the biodegradable. So it can degrade. So it turns into smaller plastics. Okay, either microplastics, and then it will further degrade into molecules until it can go back to the soil. So this is what we want. We want it to be very environmentally friendly, and it can go back to the soil and become whatever, like fertilizer and so forth. All right. So another published by Bioplastics and also Green Technology market analysis, it said that biodegradable plastics, you combine it with the proper recycling strategies, these would be the 2 promising approaches to cut down plastic waste. So these are our approach right now. We're talking about biodegradable plastic. At the same time, actually, we also want to study recycled plastics. So because these are some of the questions that came back to you, right? What's the, like benefits and so forth. Like it's an eco-friendly solution, all right? Because it's environmentally friendly. Once you use like plastics from plant-based, it's actually that plant will go back to the soil and give nutrient to the plant. So this is what we want, so and then it can reduce carbon footprint. Carbon footprint, what I'm saying, let me explain. So we're talking about carbon footprint. If I burn this book, or if I burn this wood, it will produce a lot of like carbon dioxide. So it takes a lot of energy to burn it. There are some plastics which is actually engineered plastics or non-biodegradable. It will produce more carbon dioxide compared to the biodegradable plastic. Biodegradable, it will easily degrade and produce less carbon footprint. Okay, and then renewable feedstock. Because we're talking about biodegradable plastics, actually it made from plant source, right? Although there are some petroleum-based plastic, you can convert it into biodegradable as well, but we are now promoting more towards the plant-based because it's renewable. Because if you plant, like potatoes, corn, corn, and all these, you can replant it again, yeah. So it's replenishable. So we can renew it. The source can be renewable, and compared to petroleum-based, so it will become depleted over time. So because for our country, for example, the remaining of the petroleum is expected can last for another like 70 to 100 years. Yeah, maybe approximately that. But in terms of like plants, you can actually, plant it again and keep on planting. So it's renewable. Yeah. All right. So and then promote circular economy. Of course, once it goes to that cycle, you produce from plant, you use it, produce that product, and product is biodegradable and go back to the soil, give nutrient to the soil, and then of course it becomes a circular economy. And maybe from here we can introduce a local source of feedstock, because at the moment we are importing feedstock like plant-based, like potatoes, like cornstarch and all that. But how is there any way to localize this? So these are the things that we want to look into, whether we can localize the source from our local source, because it's important for our national security. We're talking about food security currently. We're talking about also national security. National security in the sense that if there are any wars from countries that producing the feedstock, you might not be able to get a supply. Yeah, so you need to have your own supply. Okay, that's one thing. And another thing, for example, like if you have pandemic, like so that, and then exporting is not that easy, you might not be getting the feedstock. So you lost the supply. So this we don't want this thing to happen. So we need to start from now to think of a way how to localize it. Yeah. So this is part of our research. But of course, in our project, we are more focused on development rather than research. Yeah, research will be the small part of it, where we might involve more with the universities rather than companies. But development, we will involve more with the company. Okay, all right. I'll say, and then benefit to the company. Of course, like we have. We went to a few companies before. Actually, we visited them. We asked them actually what they want from these plastics. If we're talking about how to go about producing biodegradable, they said that they are interested. Okay, but it's just a matter of there are some companies or like SMEs. They only have like one line or two lines where they cannot stop the line. If they stop the line to do development, they lost the production. Yeah. So in that way, in that sense, we would love to help them or assist them. Why don't you do development at in SIRIM? Yeah. So we have the facilities, and you just bring your formulation, your process, your materials whatsoever, and run at our site. So this is actually helping them. At the same time, they do not have any downtime. They keep on producing. At the same time, they have something that developed using their own, formulation or what parameters, because we don't like to dictate what company must do. So every company that produce or manufacture plastics, yeah, especially if they want to go for biodegradable, they have their own aspiration in which niche market they like to go. Yeah, some like to go to producing single-use plastics, and some might use bottles and whatsoever, packaging. So we don't want to dictate. Okay, you must produce this or no. This is not our aim. So our aim is we want to follow their aspiration, okay, but they produce something which actually benefit to the environment as well. All right, but we do understand not all plastics can be converted to biodegradable. If you have like your handphone, you don't want your handphone to be biodegradable, yeah. But it must be environmentally friendly. That's it. So that concept must be understood and then differentiated, yeah. Just to come back to the point that for the company, normally we will advise them. If they involve in this project, first of all, of course, we will guide them in terms of they have to comply certain regulations. if certain regulations for plastic, they should not have like too high zinc content or something like that. So we'll advise them. So that's the way we do. But at the same time, their product is met for classified as environmentally friendly product. Yeah, so that's what we want to do. Okay. So another, they can gain necessary skill set in biodegradable or recycling process. So what we mean here is that once we introduce new materials or once we introduce new processes, that is actually it involves a new skill set. So company is running one skill set at the moment. For example, it runs that skill set to produce that product. But if you change the parameters, yeah, you add more like environmentally friendly, a new product where it produces a much more high performance biodegradable product, then it will involve a new skill set. So that's what we mean from here. So we can help them and train the people, right? Okay, and also readiness for high standards and stringent market entry regulation. So in this part, okay, different country has different set of regulation. For example, in Europe, I can tell you right now, they ban oxo-biodegradable plastics. Yeah, oxo-biodegradable plastic is actually plastic made from petroleum based. So the reason they ban it because one is petroleum based, and secondly, they claim that it does not fully degrade to become fully degradable. It becomes microplastics for a long time, then degrade. So once it becomes microplastics for a long time, for aquatic life, marine life, they will eat it. They thought that it's jelly or something like that. It's not healthy for them. And we eat this fish and whatsoever, and it becomes part of us, so it's bad. That's the reason they ban it. But if you produce biodegradable plastic from plant-based, then it should be okay, all right? So that's the thing. All right, so they already made it a regulation. I think start from, they announced it in middle 2021, but they enforced it in early this year. Europe, yeah.
Also the entire Europe?
The entire European Union, not those which are not in European Union are not subjected to this regulation. And Japan has a different set of rules as well. So they don't ban biodegradable or oxo-biodegradable. Even they encourage manufacturers to produce biodegradable or plant-based, at least mixed it, petroleum and and plant. If you mix it for minimum 25% plant, so that the plastic bag will be free. Those totally petroleum based will be subjected to, like, you have to pay, just like Malaysia, you have to pay how many cents, all those, yeah. So that is in Japan. So they have a different set of regulation. US, different states, different regulation, sort of that. In California, for example, oxo-biodegradable is allowed to be sold there, okay? But you cannot label it as oxo-biodegradable. You just label it as environmentally friendly plastic bags, something like that, yeah. So Australia also have the same, has different set of rules, and Australia and New Zealand and a few countries even in Europe, they encourage plastics that have the thickness of more than 35 micron to be sold. Like, do you remember, like Tesco, the thick bag? So that is the one. That is compostable bag actually. So you use plenty of times until it becomes torn, and then you scrapped it. So that is better than single-use plastics, yeah, because you can, So these are this is some of the initiatives at the moment, yeah. This is the ultimate goal of this project, is to promote industry-led product development activities for solving plastic waste problems. So this is our main goal. So we want to do development, but the company must lead it, because company has the aspiration which niche market they want to go. You don't want to dictate which market you should go. You want to sell your product, but make it environmentally friendly or biodegradable. We provide you some technical assistance. Do development at our facilities, okay, and then come back. And then once we get the right parameters, bring back those to to the company. All right. So this is what we want. Okay. So at the moment, we have like, we should have, I mean, not we currently have, we should have like 5 different processing equipments for this project. The first one is the compounding pelletization lab line. This one will be coming in October next month. These 2 will be coming next month, multi-layer blown film lab line. Okay, compounding pelletization lab line is compounding is where we do compound. We make pellets from plastic pellets here. So we make a biodegradable pellets from here. So this will, you know, companies say, for example, oh, I have something, fiber, produced locally, studied by this university, but I want to know, can it be mixed in my plastics in order to improve the performance of my biodegradable plastic product? Because normally biodegradable plastic, if you're not adding anything, it will be weak, you know, it's not as strong as normal petroleum base. So this is actually a little bit disadvantage of biodegradable, but it's environmentally friendly. So in order to do that, some company will add something addition in order to toughen the strength, you know. In order to do that, do not waste your, you know, like your time, you know, shutting down the machine, do development until you cannot sell your product. No, do at our site. You know, do that this facility. We have this facility for you to do development. Okay, and also multi-layer blown film lab line. This is to produce plastics. Yeah, plastic like you know, film. So we can make it plastic bag by the single use, or we can produce a thick plastic bag, make it compostable. All right, so company can run this at our site as well in order to determine, okay, whether, you know, they really can produce such things, you know, then later bring back to their company. All right. Also, we have plastic recycling lab line. As I mentioned to you, we're not just focusing on the biodegradable plastics. We also want to have something like plastic recycling as well, because these 2 will help to solve environmental issues. And then we have thermoforming extrusion lab line. This thermoforming where we can do cup, bowl, and dish. Maybe next year when you come here again, so whatever cups that we have over here will be produced by us. And it's environmentally friendly. So we're hoping next year we can do that. Okay. And then also plastic injection molding lab, where we can produce like biodegradable cutleries or recycle, you know, plastics. Because we want to give options to the company as well. You know, there are some parts of the plastics where you cannot recycle. It's totally biodegradable, cannot be recycled most of the time. All right, but you have that plastics where you can, because okay, I'm talking about like Germany, for example. They have the best recycling rate in the world. Plastic recycling rate in the world is Germany, followed by some others like Netherlands, Austria, and you know, so forth. But Europe has good recycling, you know, strategies and good recycling rate, same as Japan. But we're not up to that level yet. Okay, so if we can make sure that our country recycle and push up the rate to the highest, and I think that we already done something, you know, very effective. And at the end, so in this project also we want to understand how many times that we can recycle, you know. So the more you can recycle, the better. All right. So if we cannot recycle, then can we convert it to the toys or something else, you know, where it's no longer being used for like eateries or something, you know. All right. So this is our aim. All right. And then we also provide some testing activities. So we want to differentiate between our function and ETRC, Environmental Technology Research Center, where they also do like biodegradable testing, and so that can indicate something, can give you like a faster result. All right. But the faster result doesn't mean like it takes like 3 hours. No, it takes like a few days or so, but not months like that one. Okay. All right. So also on the research side, this one actually we already have discussion with University Science Malaysia School of Industrial Technology. We try to like, you know, localize feedstock, yeah, from local source. So still discussion is ongoing. We are not yet finalized. We just have a just preliminary discussion. So the next discussion will be, you know, next month and the coming month, like that. All right. So these are some of the, as I mentioned to you, new rapid testings. That this is also we try to, you know, come up with, and we'll also like try to work with the university.